But I interviewed her and I asked her all of these questions, honestly, for selfish reasons, because I wanted to know the answer for my own email list. And her answer to almost all of these questions is, it depends, which was on one hand kind of frustrating to hear, because I think oftentimes we want to hear, no,
I think the reason I keep making these videos about these marketing gurus, my fundamental problem with all of them is that they think there should be a singular answer to something. They think that their program is going to be able to help 10,000 different people build a business. Or they think that their email template is going to close a majority of sales for thousands of people that buy their program or whatever. And the thing is, it depends is the actual answer. Let's say that you were in catering, okay? And you were like, this is a business plan of exactly how to run a catering company. And no matter who buys it, they're going to have a successful business. We can hear that and say, wait a minute, different kinds of food have different margins. There's different alcohol laws in different states. There's different permits I need depending on what kind of food I'm selling. We can look at somebody offering that and say, wait a minute, I don't think this is going to work for everybody. Yet somehow somebody's like, you know what? I've got this marketing plan and it's going to work for every single business. I wish my job was that easy. Hello, Barbies, Kens, Theys, and Thems. Welcome to Nicole Reacts, a show in which I, Nicole, react to online marketing gurus that I find, that other people help me find, and occasionally even who find me on the internet. My qualifications for marketing snark and commentary are that I've owned a legitimate marketing company for 16 years. In that time, I've worked with hundreds of clients on marketing strategy and implementation. So I know a fair bit when it comes to online marketing topics like social media marketing and online ads, but I also know about related topics like website usability and search engine optimization. I want to note that I don't think I'm a grifter because I've been doing this a really long time, and some of our clients we've had for over 10 years. So I feel like if I was a real hack, they wouldn't continue to pay us to do marketing for them. But if you want to double check, you can check out our online reviews. You can check out my LinkedIn profile, and you can check out examples of our work on our website. So today I'm recording from home, and that is for a variety of reasons. But the main one is that the office I keep trying to record from at my co-working space, I am actively trying to rent out, which means that I have not set it up for recording. So every time I go in there, it's like, oh my God, I got to get everything set up. And I inadvertently leave something out, which means that the audio sucks, or like I find that the internet did a weird thing while I was recording, even though I'm corded in and I haven't had time to troubleshoot it. So I thought I would come back to my home office and record from here. Also, it is about 1,000 degrees in my house right now. The problem is if I turn on the air conditioner, you can hear it in the audio. So I'm either going to sit here in a tank top and actually be comfortable, or if I put on a real shirt, you're going to just watch me sweat the entire time. So hopefully the gun show here does not scandalize you. I'm in the mood for a bit of a comfort watch today, I'm not going to lie. So we're going to watch a Brock Johnson video. You guys know how much I love Brock Johnson videos. And he's going to tell us how to grow our email list in 2024. So before we watch him, I want to give you 3 tips to grow your email list in 2024, and let's see if he mentions any of the ones I'm going to say. So first of all, the typical thing to grow an email list is that you offer something for free that makes people want to give their email address. This is what's called the lead magnet. So this could be a white paper, this could be a free webinar, this could be a free digital template download, something like that. Okay. And in exchange for that, the person gives their email address and then they receive it in their inbox. So you get their email, they get a free thing. It's kind of a win-win situation. So for example, 7-ish years ago when we opened the first co-working space in Bar Harbor, Maine, we offered a white paper called How to Promote an Event on Mount Desert Island, which is the island that Bar Harbor is on. And so we talked about things like local calendars to post your event to, local Facebook and other groups that you could promote to, and that kind of thing. It was about 6 pages long, but it was very localized content. Now, we wanted people who were connected to the Bar Harbor area, but were actively doing things in the Bar Harbor area, whether, that was hosting events or being involved in nonprofits or something like that. Those are the kind of people that we wanted on our email list because they were the kind of people who would periodically rent space. That's the number one thing that most people will tell you to do to grow an email list. A second way that you can grow your email list is to let people know that you have one. whether that's putting an obvious sign up somewhere on your website or whether that's periodically mentioning it on your social media. Let's say I send email newsletters on a Friday. So maybe on Thursday afternoon, I want to post to my social media, hey everyone, we're getting our monthly newsletter ready. We've got some great local events going on in there. We also have some business resources. Click here to sign up. And inevitably, you're going to get a couple of people that sign up each time. And you're probably going to get a couple of comments of like, I didn't know you had an email newsletter. So, periodically telling people you have an email newsletter is great. If you have an in person location, having a little book that people can sign in is also super helpful. And that'll grow your list really quickly. And thirdly, you want to incentivize email subscription in some kind of way. Maybe as a store, you do a monthly coupon that is only in your email newsletter or something like that. Maybe you do a drawing for a free t-shirt once a month and it's only for people who are subscribed to your email newsletter. You think of something that makes it so that people want to stay on your email newsletter to maybe get something that they'll find valuable. So those are just 3 ideas I came up with off the top of my head. There might be more specific or better ideas if you're in a specific industry, but those 3 in general will work for most kinds of businesses. So let's see what Brock has to say about growing your email list in 2024. Actually, let's just have a moment for this thumbnail. This is the thumbnail for the video. All right, now let's get started. I don't want you guys to think I'm trying to do people dirty. This is a monetized channel, so there's a video that plays at the beginning, and this is actually the first frame of the video. So this is not me picking some weird angle for Brock here. This is just how the video starts.
If you've been trying to grow a brand or a business on social media in the last 10 years, then you have probably heard about an email list. Most high-level entrepreneurs preach about the importance of an email list, and pretty much everyone agrees that an email list is more valuable even than your list of followers. And so today I'm going to give you the beginner to intermediate guide of pretty much everything you need to know about an email list. How do you collect emails? Where do you store them? What should you send to the people on your email list? What strategies can you use on social media to get a follower to become an email list subscriber? And then what can you actually send in your emails on a regular basis? I'm going to be answering all of those questions and giving you as much advice as I possibly can in today's episode, all about an email list.
So Shalene Johnson is Brock Johnson's mother. So a lot of his content is co-branded with his mom. What I notice is it doesn't seem to be the other way around. Like a lot of her stuff isn't co-branded with him, if that makes sense. I talked about it in a previous video, which I will link in the show notes, but I did want to mention that. The other thing is that this video is about how to grow an email list. At least that's what the title is. So I didn't realize he was going to get into how to make an email list and all of that, like the technical aspects of it. I just thought he was going to talk about, oh, so you have this email list and it isn't budging in terms of the amount of subscribers. I thought that's more of what this was going to be about, but okay, it's a little bit different than I expected. But to an intermediate or a beginner audience is what this is aimed for. So keep that in mind.
Now, don't just take my word for it. Here are some actual statistics relating to the value of an
I think he's wearing a terry cloth shirt and it has mushrooms on it. I'm not going to lie. I kind of love this shirt.
email list. On average, every $1 that you spend on email marketing, you generate $42 in return, according to a study by Smart Insight.
Okay, I've seen this stat before, but the gurus typically don't reference it. I wonder if this Smart Insights is the stat where it's for every dollar spent on email marketing that money comes back to you.
Insights, the average email list grows by 10 to 15% each year.
Okay, so you're going to cite this study, but not the study that talks about for every dollar you spent, you get $42 back. I will see if I can find it, and if I can, I'll link it in the show notes. The one about the $42.
Which is equal to or greater than the average Instagram account's growth rate each year. And according to a survey by Litmus, email marketing equates for 20 to 25% of businesses' average annual revenue. So,
Okay, he gets points for mentioning these 2 studies. He loses a point for not mentioning the other one, but he will get more points from me if he actually links to it.
if you're someone who either doesn't have an email list or you have one, but you just aren't really that active with it, you could potentially be missing out on 20 to 25% of your annual revenue just by not taking advantage of the things we're going to talk about in today's episode. Now, there are numerous ways to grow an email list. You can run ads to grow an email list. If you have like
Mhm.
a physical location business, you can grow your email list in person. There's a lot of
Mhm.
different ways to go about it. But today, we are going to specifically focus on using your organic social media to grow your email list.
Okay.
And besides all of those statistics that I just shared, this is really important because you can lose access to your social media at any time. If you've been active on Instagram in the last 30
Ooh, this one hits close to home. For those of you who don't know, I lost access to my Facebook account from July of 2023 to April of 2024. So it's been really interesting. I had access to Instagram, and oddly enough, my coworker Jessica had access to our pages. So at least we were able to post stuff, but it was a little bit annoying to say the least.
last 30 days or so, then you've probably seen at least a handful of the ongoing glitches that Instagram is facing. To put it nicely, Instagram has been a very challenging place over the month of April and March 2024.
I would say these security issues and safety issues go beyond the last couple of months, not just because I got hacked in July of 2023 and I had every possible security precaution on that account, but because we have seen actual news organizations reporting on actual safety and security issues, which I will link to in the show notes. I won't go over them here. I went over them in my hacked video, but there's a couple of reasons for this. I think number one is that Facebook doesn't seem to want to invest money into safety and security. They seem to want to put it all into AI and other new technology. So I think that security and stuff has gone to the wayside. I also think that the explosive growth of Meta as a company means that they have hired a lot of people in other countries or as subcontractors, and I'm just assuming that my data is exposed to everybody. For me, this is not an issue of if you're going to get hacked, but when. It's kind of like identity theft, right? It's not a matter of if it's going to happen, but when. And all you can do is be as secure as you possibly can. And I would recommend these three steps if you're worried about your Meta account being hacked. Number one, make a backup account and have that backup account have full access to your business assets. So, for example, I have set up a backup account using an email address that is not used anywhere else. It's not written anywhere. It's not used on any other accounts. It is just used to manage our Facebook business stuff. So that is the backups. Number two, turn on two-factor authentication for Facebook and Instagram, even if you have multiple accounts. You might ask yourself, well, if I have multiple accounts, I only have one cell phone number. You want to use an authenticator app instead of getting a text message. I now have three Facebook accounts. I have two cell phone numbers. So the third account goes to the authenticator app. So don't think that you have to have a different phone number to turn on two factor. You can authenticate with the authenticator app. And thirdly, I would change my password at least every 3 months. I know you do use the same password for everything for a long time and nothing has ever gone wrong for you. I am saying change out your password on a regular basis because I don't trust who can and can't see my information at Meta. And you shouldn't either, in my opinion. All right, let's get back to the video. I know I sound like a crazy, cynical lady. I just don't want this to happen to you.
There have been a lot of glitches, including numerous crashes. Hundreds of thousands of people have lost access to their Instagram accounts, and many of those people still have not gotten back their Instagram account. A lot of people have lost the ability to post stories or reels, and a lot of other critical features have just been randomly disappearing. And that's just with Instagram crashes. That doesn't consider the fact that people are always getting wrongfully disabled, their accounts taken down, their posts getting removed, and every single day, hundreds of thousands of people are getting their Instagram and Facebook accounts hacked. I say that not to scare you, but to give you the honest truth, which is that you can lose access to your followers at any
Mhm.
time. It doesn't matter if you have 10 million followers or 10 followers, those followers are ultimately very fragile because you don't own Instagram. You don't even own the right to access those
Yep.
followers. You could lose access at any time, which means suddenly all of that hard work that you put in to gain those followers was kind of for nothing because now you have no way to contact those people. And not to mention all of the work that you put in creating all that content. If you don't have that content saved somewhere, boom, in an instant, you could lose access to all of that content.
Come on, buddy. Why don't you record from home, Nicole? I don't know. I will post a picture of the cat for my pet tax as I edit this video so you can see him. We're just going to let him settle down on the desk here. I will say that I think it is worthwhile to periodically back up your Facebook and Instagram accounts content. I will leave instructions on how to do that in the show notes of this video, but sometimes I'm talking to people and they're like, Well, Nicole, like I don't run a business like you do. So if I lose access to my Facebook, it's not really that sad. But then I am like, well, how would you feel if you lost all those pictures with your friends and family that you've been tagged in? Or, those conversations you've had with people over Messenger and then like they pass away and like that was the last time you talked to them. That kind of thing. That's the part that's hard. Yes, it's hard to lose your business account and start over and all that. But it's that personal stuff I think that people don't really think about when they think about their social media. But if you do only use it for business, I do think you should still back up your content periodically. I would also make what's called a shared audience of your followers on Facebook and your followers on Instagram. Let's say that my primary account gets hacked, but I have saved all of my Instagram followers, like an audience of them, and all of my Facebook followers as audiences, and I shared it from my primary account to my secondary account. Well, let's say I had to reset up my whole Facebook page. I could run an ad to people who already liked the previous Facebook page because I shared that audience already. So there are ways that you can sort of, I guess, have insurance about this, but it is still a pain in the butt to have to worry about security this much to use a free platform, isn't it?
Content. That's why it's so important that as you're growing your following, you are also growing your email list. A lot of people believe that they will launch their email list once they reach a certain threshold. So once they hit 10,000 followers, then they'll start building their email list. Or once they hit 100,000, then they'll start building your email list. When in reality, I believe it's most beneficial to grow your email list alongside your
I
following,
agree.
not as an afterthought, not as something that you're going to do eventually, but with every new follower you gain, your goal should be to also transition that person into an email list subscriber. There's nothing to gain and there's a lot to lose by waiting. So I don't care even if you haven't started your Instagram account yet. And I know I'm saying Instagram, but this applies to TikTok and Facebook and YouTube, all of the social media platforms. It doesn't matter if you haven't started yet or if you already have 10 million followers, it's time to start focusing on your email list. If I can kind of lay some groundwork, some minimums for you, I would recommend doing at least one email list promotional activity, one email list promotion post per week. Now, that might be a story on Instagram, that might be a
Okay,
TikTok
I thought he was saying send one email a week. He means like talk about your email list once a week. Okay, I'm not opposed to this.
video, that might be a shout out in one of your YouTube videos or your podcast episodes, but at a minimum, one activity per week that's going to grow your email list. But ideally, you should be doing more than that. Ideally, it should be 4 to 7 times per week. Yes, that means even ideally
I think that's too much. I think this is way too much. I'm just gonna say it.
once per day. The most successful business owners who I've talked to and interviewed all echo that they're doing things on a daily basis to grow their email list because they know that even though views are nice and followers are cool, those things are futile and the email list is what really matters. But before we get into the actual strategies that you can use and that I'm going to share with you to grow your email list, let's talk about for those of you who are day one, you don't have an email list, or maybe you had one a few years ago and it's not active anymore. Let's talk about what you can use to even collect the emails. Like, what is the list, quote unquote? How do you send emails? How do you keep track of all of these things? What
If he recommends a software that costs more than $25 a month, I'm gonna be pissed.
you're going to need is what's called a CRM platform. And CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. It's a fancy term that basically means email list. And there's a wide variety of email lists
It's kinda more of a rectangle square situation. You know how all squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares? All CRMs have an email component, but not all email software has a CRM component. Okay, so they are technically different things, but CRM platforms do have email marketing in them.
email list providers out there, all with slightly different features and slightly different price points. So I recommend just shopping around, watch a few YouTube videos that
Oh,
are
you're not gonna recommend one?
be comparing and contrasting some of the popular ones and figure out one that serves your needs in your current stage of business and also meets your budget. Some tools are going to be great for email list collection, but aren't going to give you the opportunity to also send emails to said list. Some of those platforms include Five, which is FIVE .me, five.me. That's a great platform that integrates into your Instagram account
I'll try to remember to check if these are affiliate links at the end.
and can help you automatically transition a lot of your followers into customers. Some other ones that I've used are Stand Store. I have a Stand Store link in my bio. That is STAN Store. Stand Store is kind of like a link in bio or a link tree tool, but it also
But I don't think stand stores are free.
gives you the option to collect emails. And then another option is using ManyChat, which we've talked about many times on this show. And ManyChat doesn't necessarily directly store the emails for you, but ManyChat can integrate with a lot of other tools,
I think it's odd to bring up ManyChat in this part of things. I'll be completely honest with you. ManyChat is a chatbot programming software. So let's say, for example, that you have a bakery and you don't want to sit on Facebook Messenger all day. What you can do is when someone types a message to you on Facebook or on Instagram, you can have it auto respond and say, "Hey, thanks for coming to Nicole's Bakery. What are you looking for?" And I can give them a couple of options, I think up to three. So I can have them be able to click the button that says daily specials. I can have them click on a button that says order online, or I can have them click on the button that says hours. Okay. And so let's say I click on the button that says daily special. So maybe when they click that button, they get a message that is our daily specials. But if they picked the hours option, they get a list of our current hours. Do you know what I mean? So they get a different message based on what they type in. It's almost like one of those choose your own adventures kind of books. So you can hook up ManyChat into whatever software you're using for your email marketing. So like let's say it's the bakery and I say, "By the way, do you want to be on our email list?" You hit yes or no. And if they hit yes, I say type in your email address and they type it in and then I can have that automatically added to my email software of choice, my email marketing software of choice. That email hook-in is a paid feature of ManyChat. It's not a free feature, but you can do a fair bit in the free version if you want to check it out. If you want to learn more about this, by the way, leave a comment. I'm happy to make a more detailed video. I did make a video about this a few years ago, which I will link in the description. But in case that's not cutting it, obviously a lot can change in software in a couple of years, so I'm happy to re-upload it. But ManyChat, while it can grow your email list, I feel like that's a more advanced feature for you to integrate, to be honest with you. And in a video about growing my email subscribers for beginners, I'm not sure that I would mention integrating a chatbot necessarily, but what do I know?
including some of the tools that I've already mentioned and that I will be mentioning, to basically allow you to collect emails right from the DMs. So rather than having someone go to some sort of like landing page and then type in their email,
Yeah,
they can actually just type in their email right in the direct message.
I'm not saying this isn't a valid approach. I'm just saying I'm not sure I would consider this a beginner way to grow an email list.
And then that can be saved and stored for you through ManyChat integration. So those are
I love how they zoom out to show how complicated it is.
three tools that I've used that I would recommend if you're someone who just wants to collect
Mhm.
emails. But then, in terms of actually sending out the emails, you're not just going to use your Gmail account. You're not just going to open up Gmail and then
Nope.
copy and paste in the link of emails and send
Nope.
everyone like a mass message. Instead, there are certain platforms that are used to send out these mass messages, whether you're sending out 20 or you're sending out 20,000. Some that I've used in the past that can allow you to both collect and send emails that I would recommend are number one, Kajabi, which is
It's overpriced and ridiculous.
Kajabi, Keep, which is Keap. And then there's a lot of other really popular ones like MailChimp that are widely recommended and a lot of people use and rely on.
Brock, I feel the same way about MailChimp. Intuit bought MailChimp a few years ago, and ever since then, it is decidedly worse. And Constant Contact is another one probably he's
Rely
going
on
to
those on a
mention.
daily basis. But again, I'm not here to tell you that there's a one size fits all or
Yep.
that, one is just far superior to the rest. Ultimately, it's going to depend on what features you're looking for.
To me, what's weird is Kajabi is like an online course platform more than anything. Yeah, it does have an email component because obviously you have to email people, when there's new modules and things like that. But I wouldn't say that it's an email marketing software. Just saying. I would say Constant Contact is, MailChimp, SendGrid, Aweber, Emma. There's tons of them. There's tons of them. iContact. I'm trying to think of everyone I've ever used with different clients, but there's a ton of them out there. And to me, as a small business owner, they should either be free or in that kind of $20-ish a month range.
And the budget that you have. Again, though, when you're looking at budget and when you're looking at how much you're going to spend, I want you to keep in mind that very first statistic that I shared with you, which is that for every $1 businesses spend on email marketing, on average, they generate $42 in return. So just think about that. Keep that in mind. Don't think of the money that you're spending on your CRM platform to be a loss. Think of it as an investment into the future growth of your business. All right, now
Brock did a little bit of a false equivalency here because he said, hey, for every dollar you spend, you make $42. But that doesn't mean that because you buy more expensive software, that means you're going to make more money. So let me show you what I mean. Let's pretend that we're just starting email marketing and we have a list of about 200 people and we're going to send a monthly email newsletter. Okay. So let's look at MailChimp versus Kajabi. Okay. The one that he recommended. As we see with MailChimp, there is a free plan if you have under 500 contacts and you can send up to 1,000 email sends. So I think that would mean that if we emailed 500 people, we could email them twice in the month under the free plan and have it still be working. Now, if we look at Kajabi, for example, for 250 contacts, we can send up to 1,250 marketing emails. So we can send more emails per contact, but the lowest price we can pay is $69 a month if we're going to pay month to month. So there's a big difference between $0 and $69 a month for a small business. And that's not to say that if you buy the $69 a month plan that you're going to make more money. Part of that investment is software. Part of that investment, though, also is the time that either you're going to spend or you're going to pay someone to spend to write up the content. Now, a CRM does a lot more than have an email list. You are tracking in your CRM individual relationships that you have with people. When you've last talked to them, maybe you're keeping track of their contact information or like where they live and stuff like that. Maybe you're keeping track of people that are different stages of your sales process. There's a lot more to it than just, I'm going to send a message to a group of people once a month. But for beginners, I'm going to send a message to a group of people once a month is pretty much where most of them are at. So why not start there? But anyway, let's get back to it.
all right, now with all of the foundation laid, with all of that covered, let's talk about some actual strategies that you can use to grow your email list. These strategies that I'm about to share are going to be in increasing order of effectiveness, starting with the least effective and, of course, finishing with the most effective from what we've seen. Ultimately, though, before we even get into these strategies, just like anything else, every audience is different. So try out different strategies to figure out what works best for you and your audience. And also, just because the last strategy that I share is the most effective doesn't mean that that's the only one you should use, right? Use a variety of different
Mhm.
strategies to basically test out different things, and make sure that you're not just blindly following what someone like me shares. Always test and try things out for yourself and take things with a grain of salt. All right.
So fair enough. I appreciate he mentioned that, but I kind of want to know how he knows how successful or not successful something is. I kind of want to know what his sample size is, to be completely honest with you, or if he's just going off of a study or something like that.
All right, but let's get into the actual strategies. Number one strategy is just the direct sign up. Basically saying, here's the link to sign up for my email list. If you want to join, here's where you can type in your info and sign up. Of course, it's going to be the least effective because unless you're someone who people already admire or look to for advice, or they really care about the things that you're sharing, maybe you're like an influencer, there's not going to be a huge draw to sign up for your email list just to sign up. Like if Kim Kardashian was like, here's the link for my email list, sign up, she would get a lot of people signing up.
I really don't think she would. Check out my Blockout 2024 video if you want to learn why.
But if she used one of these other strategies that I'm about to share, she would likely get even more. The second strategy is to sign up in order to receive a discount. This is one that is super popular with like the big brands, the big name businesses. Like I guarantee you, if you go to any major business's website, like I don't know, the first ones that come to mind are like Target or IKEA or something like that. If you go to their website and spend a few minutes there, you will either get some sort of pop up that's like, hey, insert your email and get 10% off. Or when you go to checkout, it's like, sign up and receive 10% off. Essentially, that's what they're doing.
Mhm.
They're getting your email and they're giving you a small discount in exchange. You, as the consumer, feel very motivated to put in your email because you're like, okay, awesome. I'm going to get 10 or 15 or 20% off.
Yep.
But they, as the business, as the brand, they see the value in that because now they have your email. And so, sure, they might make 10% less on that sale, but the thought is over time, they're going to be able to sell more to you because they have your email. And that email is
I mean, the other thing is that probably their margins are better than 10%, so they can lose 10% of the sale and still be making money off of you. But the other thing I've noticed with e-commerce is they ask you actually not just for your email, but they'll ask you for your cell phone number. And they usually do this kind of in a sneaky way. So they'll say, get 20% off, enter your email address. So you're like, okay, cool. And you type it in, and then they're like, okay, give us your cell phone number to get the 20% off. And you're like, wait a minute, I just gave you my email and now you want my cell phone number? They seem to want both. I think because they want to do both email marketing and text marketing. I think that retailers are seeing that both work and some work better for one kind of person versus another. So they just collect both. So they're a little tricky sometimes.
Email is so valuable, especially for us business owners,
Mhm.
because not only can Instagram be taken away in a minute, you can lose access to your followers, yada, yada, yada. Let's just think about the algorithm. The algorithm is always changing, right? And I hear from so many people that they're just not reaching their followers. They're not
Mhm.
even reaching 10% or 5%
Yep.
of their followers. So, yeah, you could have 100,000 followers, but even if your account isn't hacked or isn't disabled, even if you have access and you post every single day, you still might not even reach 10,000 of those people or 1,000 of those people because of the way the algorithms work. That's different than when you have someone's email. When you have someone's email, unless your email is getting like automatically filtered to spam, which can happen,
Mhm.
unless that's happening, you're showing up in someone's inbox. And last time I checked, almost every email inbox is sorted in chronological order, which means that there isn't really an algorithm that's determining whether or not someone sees your email. Instead, when you send them the email, boom, it shows up in their inbox. And if they have their email notifications turned on, they're also going to get a notification on their phone and maybe also even on their computer.
Hey guys, editing Nicole. Actually, there is some really interesting things going on in the sort of email filtering world and also in AI trying to help you see your most important emails. I think most people have issues controlling their inbox in a general way, getting too many messages, not seeing the right messages right away. So I think this is overly simplified from Brock's perspective. But yeah, I mean, text and email marketing is the only way to directly contact your potential customers, which is why marketing people emphasize having at least one of these systems in place. All right, back to the video.
So it's just that much more effective and powerful and reliable for reaching the people that you want to reach.
I agree with this, but I will say that there are certain practices that if you're sending email marketing messages, that will get you flagged as spam. I'll link to some resources in the show notes, but there's definitely kind of some quote unquote rules you can follow. But another thing you might want to look into is DMARC. I will link to the video I did with David a couple of years ago about that. Essentially, it is giving your domain slash email a good reputation, a good sending reputation, so that you're less likely to get flagged, among other things. There's other benefits too. But yeah, you can't 100% control exactly how someone is filtering their email. What you can do is look at your open rate and see what that's like. And you can look at how many people have reported me as spam. You can look at that too in your email marketing provider. And basically, if your open rate is pretty high and if you're not being marked as spam, I would say you're doing okay. But that's all we can really know.
Idea number 3 is providing value in a different way. Rather than being a discount on a product, it's going to be offering some value in the email itself. We're going to get more into this later when we talk about the difference between benefits and features. But basically, think about if you're planning your email list ahead of time, what are you going to be sending to people? Like, why should they subscribe other than just for promotional emails? If you're IKEA, there's nothing really valuable or educational or all that useful that they're going to be sending out every single week besides just the latest promotion. But if you're someone like myself, I can provide value in the email. So
I
when
mean, IKEA can too. IKEA can show articles about how to design a very small office space so that it's efficient, or they can share an interview they have done with a designer they're collaborating with on a new collection. They can show what are the latest color trends and how are those showing up in home furnishings this year. There's plenty of things that IKEA could talk about that would be interesting enough for somebody to subscribe to their email newsletter besides their sales.
when I'm sending out emails, I can give Instagram tips. I can give social media advice. I can give, ideas for what to post on your
Sure.
reels. That is value. And if I have a plan in ahead of time, like, hey, every single week I'm going to send out 10 trending audio ideas for Instagram. That is value. And so advertising that and talking about that can encourage more people to sign up for my email list. It's
Yeah, and just because you sell products directly on an e-commerce site does not mean you can't offer interesting and useful information. You can still do this.
not just sign up for my email list so that you sign up. It's not just sign up so you can get 10% off. It's sign up and I will send you this valuable thing on a weekly or monthly or some sort of routine basis.
Okay.
And then the fourth strategy that we find very effective, again, this is the most effective strategy that we have found for growing an email list, is offering what is called a freebie or a freemium, or oftentimes internally, it's called a lead magnet. It's
I think I called all of these at the beginning, didn't I?
essentially giving your email list subscribers something for free, air quotes around the word free, in
Yeah, air quotes around the word free. Why? Because it takes you time to make the thing, and your time isn't free, even if you're not paying yourself, right? So that ebook I was telling you about, the 6-page how to promote an event on Mount Desert Island that I used to grow our Anchor Space email list, that took me 2 work days to pull together. So that was about 16 hours of work. And I could have been doing 16 hours work on client work or on getting us new business a different way. Do you know what I mean? So I think what he means by air quotes is it's free because it takes your time, but it's not actually free because your time is worth something.
in exchange for their email. This is another thing that's very, very popular, especially within the space of people who are like online educators or entrepreneurs, people who have courses. Essentially, you're giving away something of immediate return. I'll give you an example of some of the things we offer as freebies, freemiums, lead magnets from the Insta Club Hub. We have 25 viral hook ideas. So if you're someone who needs to create hooks for your Instagram, you give us your email and then we give you that free list of 25 ideas. Now we have the
Can I be your absolute bummer friend and tell you that there is no such thing as planning to go viral? It just happens and you have absolutely no control over it. So, I mean, if you just want to say that these things are doing well video wise, that's fine. But promising someone they're going to go viral, I always think is a really bad idea because you can't promise them that.
have the opportunity to market to you, to sell to you, to promote to you in the future. We also have 55 Instagram story ideas that help you sell. We also have 20 B-roll reel ideas and ChatGPT prompt ideas and all of these different easy things, things that are delivered via a PDF that's 2 or 3 pages long. It has some value in it. It's not worthless. It definitely delivers and maybe even
It's really quick to make, but it's not worthless.
over delivers on the promises that we make. But all it takes for someone to download that is
If you promise me 20 story ideas, you give me 20 story ideas, does that mean that you're giving extra story ideas? How does it over deliver is I guess what I'm wondering.
their email list. Of course, now we as the business see the value in that because we now have an email that we can market to and potentially convert to a customer in the future. Now, of course, these were just 4 strategies that you can use. There are so many other strategies. There's things like giveaways and contests. There's challenges. You could have someone sign up for a webinar, be part of a group. There's so many different ways that you can promote your email list. And a lot of these things will vary depending on what you plan on sending and also what you already have to sell or promote. Speaking of promoting, let's talk about that. I have 2 things that I want to recommend that you keep in mind when promoting.
Okay.
And the first one is a general recommendation that is for all kinds of promotion, all kinds of sales, regardless of the social media platform. And honestly, regardless of if you're selling like a $3,000 product or your free email list that you want people to sign up for. And that is to focus on the benefits rather than the features. Another way to say that is focus on what's in it for them. Like, what
Yeah.
do your followers have to gain from this thing rather than just what's in it? And I think a very easy example.
Yeah, I think that's pretty normal with any marketing message. You don't want to frame it with yourself, you want to frame it with your customer in mind. That makes sense to me.
Easy example to explain this principle is if I was describing my email list. If I was to promote my email list using the features, I would say you get a new email every Friday morning at 7:15 a.m. that's 3 to 4 paragraphs long and it's delivered right to your inbox. Those are the features, but no one really cares about the features. They care about the benefits. They care about what's in it for them. Like, Brock, what is in this email that's delivered on Fridays at 7 a.m. that's so valuable to me. So I could instead say something like, you get a brief and concise rundown of everything you need to know that has changed on Instagram in the last 7 days. Or if you are a subscriber to our Insta Club Hub weekly newsletter, then you get a reel every single week that is broken down and critiqued what worked in that reel and what didn't work, as well as a list of 10 trending audios that are currently blowing up and are very popular, that are very easy for you to use. That's something that we send out every single week. And honestly, now that I think about it, even the way I just described it, I was kind of focusing on the features, right? I was talking about the 10 trending audio ideas. Instead, what would be more useful and effective to say would be, every single week, you don't have to worry about coming up with posts for Instagram because we send you 10 easy to create ideas that are more likely to go viral. That is focusing on
Brock, you know better than to promise people virality. Come
benefits,
on.
because truly the benefit of signing up for the Instant Club Hub email list is what I just described. It's that you don't have to worry about finding trending audios. You don't have to stress about what reels am I going to post, because we literally just hand you 10 ideas every single week. So again, when you are promoting anything, but especially when you're promoting your email list, focus on the benefits, aka what's in it for them, rather than the features, which are just purely what's in it. And then the second tip is one that pretty much exclusively applies to Facebook and Instagram. But I know that for the majority of our listeners, Facebook and Instagram are your number one and number two platform. And that is to use direct message automation. We've done numerous episodes about this. I've talked about this many, many times. But the reason I'm such a fan of DM automation rather than promoting the link in bio or the link sticker on your Instagram stories is simply that with DM automation, you get more people actually signing up. You get more people seeing the post, more people engaging with the post, more people clicking on the link, and thus more people becoming customers or email list subscribers than if you were to just use the plain old link in bio or the link on your stories. All right, now let's talk about a very common question, and a question that I honestly had myself recently, which is, what goes into an email? Like, what are the best practices of how long your subject line should be? How long should your email be?
I think people get way too hung up on this stuff. I'll be completely honest with you, but I will hear him out, obviously.
Should you put a lot of photos or a lot of GIFs? Should you have big bold text? Like, what even should go into an email? And I recently interviewed a great email list expert, Liz Wilcox, who, if that name sounds familiar, yes, she is on the current season of Survivor. But I interviewed her and I asked her all of these questions, honestly, for selfish reasons, because I wanted to know the answer for my own email list. And her answer to almost all of these questions is, it depends, which was on one hand kind of frustrating to hear, because I think oftentimes we want to hear, no, your
Yeah, it's because if your email is good, it doesn't matter. I think the reason I keep making these videos about these marketing gurus, my fundamental problem with all of them is that they think there should be a singular answer to something. They think that their program is going to be able to help 10,000 different people build a business, or they think that their email template is going to close a majority of sales for thousands of people that buy their program or whatever. And the thing is, it depends is the actual answer. Think about it this way. Does it make sense that there is one business plan? Let's say that you were in catering, okay? And you were like, this is a business plan of exactly how to run a catering company. And no matter who buys it, they're going to have a successful business. We can hear that and say, wait a minute, different kinds of food have different margins. There's different alcohol laws in different states. There's different permits I need depending on what kind of food I'm selling, right? Like we can look at somebody offering that and say, wait a minute, I don't think this is going to work for everybody. Yet somehow somebody's like, you know what? I've got this marketing plan and it's going to work for every single business. I wish my job was that fucking easy. Okay. I wish it was because I would find the thing that worked and I would do it for everybody. If I sent you my latest 5 proposals I've sent out, they all are for different kinds of work because different things work for different people. So, no, there isn't a length of email. No, there isn't a certain amount of emojis you use or don't use to get it opened. No, there isn't a certain word in your subject line. No, there isn't a certain amount of words in the body of your text. No, there isn't a certain kind of image that's going to make people forward your email or not forward your email. There just isn't. You just have to slog and experiment and try things. And it's stupid and annoying to have to do that, but I have to do it too. And I've been doing this for 16 years because even if I found something that worked well, it's not going to work well forever because the internet changes, people change, culture changes, trends change. So even if you do find something that works, it's not necessarily going to work indefinitely. So yeah, that's why I keep making these videos, because this guy is going to want to interview somebody who's good at something and say, what's the one thing that works for everybody? And those of us who are good at our jobs are going to say, there isn't one thing that works for everybody. But here are some things I've seen work for certain kinds of businesses, or here is something that's worked for me personally. There's a reason that when we talk about these things, we always say stuff like that. Okay. We're not trying to be bummers. We're not trying to gatekeep anything. Because trust me, if it was going to work and I could help a small business, damn straight I'd do it. But there isn't one thing. Sorry.
Your subject line should be 42 characters long, and your email should be 3 paragraphs max. But on the other hand, it's actually very refreshing. And I think it gives us a lot of freedom when you hear it depends. So, really,
Yeah.
what her big lesson was that just like on social media, just like I teach with Instagram, every audience is different. Every creator is different. Let's think about my mom, someone who very famously has ADHD and
I was wondering if he was going to bring up his mom in this video. And I was thinking just now, like, oh, he hasn't done it yet. But
struggles with ADHD. If you receive an email from her, it's not going to be paragraph after paragraph after paragraph. It's going to be sassy and fun, and it's going to be a little witty, and it's
does Shalene write her own emails, though? Come on. She doesn't write her own emails.
going to be brief. It's going to be bright, right? Those are the words she's always using. It's going to be a few sentences at a time, broken up into multiple, easy to consume paragraphs rather than having these like long Harry Potter style, multi-paragraph essays. And
I
so
would say most email newsletters are like that. We want it to be readable. I think that's always a good thing, whether it's going to be in an email or it's going to be on a website or whatever. Readability is important.
that very much fits with who she is and who her audience is. If you've ever been on my email list, which by the way, if you're not on my personal email list, you can go to emailbrock.com. I made it very easy for you. Just go to emailbrock.com and you can sign up for my email list. My emails are super short. They're, yes, often filled with typos. They're usually very informal and very funny, like I think I am. I like to think of myself as those things.
I don't know why we're proud that they're riddled with typos. To me, that just says you probably need to install Grammarly on your computer or something like it, or put your email through some kind of proofing system. I don't know. I don't think typos is a flex, but okay.
Things. But they're not long, they're not lengthy, they're not in depth. They're very valuable, but they're usually concise. I'm not someone who is likes to write long paragraphs. If you follow me on Instagram, you rarely see very long captions. And the same is true. It's mirrored in my emails that I send out as part of my email marketing. And I know for a lot of us, myself included, I overthink my emails and I think they need to be super formal, or they all need to be promoting and selling something, or that they need to be a certain structure every single time. And that's just not true. You can have variety and variability in your email list. And again, everything I'm sharing with you right now in regards to best practices for email marketing comes directly from Liz Wilcox in that interview. By the way, that was on my other
I'm a little confused when he says all these things come from Liz. All I thought Liz said was that there was no particular set of rules for email marketing and that all your email best practices just depended on your audience. I thought that was the kind of only major thing that we got from it, but
my other podcast that I'm doing called Social Media Moneymakers. It's an interview only podcast. And if you want to go check that out, you can just search Social Media Moneymakers
ooh,
on any podcast platform and you should find that
a whole new bunch of content for us.
episode I did with, again, her name is Liz Wilcox, and it was all about email marketing. But really, we need to free ourselves of the shackles and the handcuffs of sticking to an exact formula every single time. And instead, we need to figure out what works best for us. And Even if for you that means that you're going to write a 4-sentence email and you're going to send that email weekly because that's all you can realistically sustain, you can't commit to writing like a multi-paragraph, super valuable email that's being sent out every day, then
You can't commit to something valuable, so you're just going to write 4 sentences, but good for you. I don't know if the 4 sentences were valuable.
that's fine. Just like I talk about on Instagram, consistency matters so much more in the long run rather than a short period of hyperfrequency followed by a long period of inactivity. And speaking of frequency, Liz said she would recommend at least one email a week, but if you can't sustain one email a week, even one every other week
I
or
think one a month is fine for a small business. Just going to say that.
one a month is a great frequency to start
Yep.
at. But there are some companies, some individuals, some entrepreneurs and brands who have scaled all the way up to one email a day. I don't know if that's necessarily possible for everyone, especially if you don't have like a team or at least a copywriter or someone to help you out with your
Yeah, I was
emails.
going to say if you're comparing yourself to like Nike or Target, I mean, they have thousands of people in their marketing department. So like there's no way you as an individual can replicate that realistically or fairly.
But at least one a week is usually a good number to start at. And for myself personally, that's the number that I am at for my email list right now. Now, I do say my email list because we do have different email lists within our business. I have a personal email list, which is just my customers and people who have signed up for my email list. But then we have a separate email list for the Insta Club Hub. This very much helps with targeting and with segmenting so that we have people who have been interested in the club before, who have signed up for the Insta Club Hub email list, who we can market to. And then I have a separate, smaller, more engaged community within my email list, which I can talk to about different things. And yes, I could promote the Insta Club Hub, but I primarily use my personal email list to just serve people and give valuable tips and advice. Now, the final question that I want
Tips and advice about what though?
to talk about, the final topic is what do
Tips and advice about what though? That's what I'm curious about. I don't know what he talks about in his personal email. I would assume Instagram, but Insta Club Hub seems like that would be the Instagram marketing type email. So I'm not sure what he talks about in his
what
personal
do
one,
you
but
send to your email list? And I'm not just going to tell you it depends or every audience is different. Yes,
what do you send? You send an email. Oh, I paused him at a weird place, huh?
those things are true. But I actually have 6 ideas for you of things that you can send to your email list because I know that for myself personally, even after I talked with Liz, and even though I know the value of an email list and I've had an email list for like 8 years now, I wasn't regularly sending an email because I didn't know what to send. But now that I've figured out an idea and I have something that I do send on a weekly basis that's very easy for me, it's become a lot easier and a lot more routine and a lot less hard or challenging or time consuming to come up with my weekly email.
What you can do is you can come up with like a template that you're going to follow. So let's say there's going to be a little intro letter from you. You're going to share 3 links to interesting resources that you found over the course of a month. You're going to share your most popular social media post, and then you're going to, on the bottom, ask people to forward the email to someone they think would get a kick out of it. So if I follow that format every single time, I know I need 3 links. I know I need to write an email newsletter, and I know I need to look on social media for a popular post that I can share across our platforms. So that makes it really easy to put my email newsletter together.
So, idea number 1 is something that I've already kind of mentioned with the Insta Club Hub weekly email, and that's a weekly list of ideas or tips or resources. With the Insta Club Hub, we have the 10 trending audio ideas every week. Maybe if you're someone who does like interior design, you could do like, 5 interior design tips every week. If you're someone who's in the AI space, maybe you're going to give a rundown of your 5 favorite AI tools that you're using this week, or maybe your 5 favorite tools that came out this week. If you're someone who does like cleaning, maybe you're going to talk about like discount codes. It's a weekly roundup of, here are the different promotions going on by different companies this week. So basically just a weekly listicle, things that are tips or ideas or resources or discounts related to your niche. Idea number 2 is a weekly kind of like newsletter, a blog, if you will. My mom used to do a version of this called her Snapshot, and it actually got its name because it originated way back in the days of Snapchat. So when my mom used to post very often and regularly on Snapchat, she would download all of those videos, all of her Snapchat stories, and then they would be edited up into kind of like a weekly roundup or highlight reel, or they would, her copywriter would take out all of the best like moments and highlights from the week on Snapchat and turn it into a snapshot of her week, her products, her favorite stories, whatever's happening, her new podcast that week, whatever, kind of just like a weekly roundup. I do a version of this that I call my weekly report, and it's report as an acronym. The acronym report in my weekly report stands for reading. So I tell my audience something that I'm currently reading, like a book, an article, maybe a study. E stands for eating. So again, just something that like I'm really enjoying this week, maybe a new recipe I'm recommending, a new restaurant. P stands for playing. So it could be like a video game that I'm playing, or it could just be something that like I'm enjoying. Maybe it's summer and I'm playing pickleball, or I'm playing in the rec basketball league at my gym. O stands for obsessing. So I think that's pretty self explanatory, something I'm obsessed with in the current week. R stands for recommending. So it's something that I have recently discovered or I really enjoyed that I'm just recommending to my audience. And then T stands for treating, something that I'm treating myself to in the last 7 days. And that weekly report is a great opportunity.
Okay, I'm just gonna say it. It's gonna sound a little bit mean, but I don't think most people care about this. I think it would be difficult for me to grow an email list and to get a high open rate for my email list if my newsletter was about what book I'm reading this week or what new skincare I'm trying out or something like that. You're following me or watching this channel because you are interested in marketing and small business. I think that Brock is an influencer. So I think he kind of talks about content like everyone else is an influencer or content creator. But if you're a small business and you have, I don't know, an area of expertise, I honestly think you should stick to that to grow your email list and to grow your business. I think if you're just an average person, people don't care about this.
A great opportunity for me to kind of debrief my audience on a personal note, but also to mix in some Instagram stuff. So while one week I might be reading Harry Potter and that's just like personal, another week I might be reading an Instagram study that I'm then going to share with my audience. One week I might be recommending a new restaurant that I tried that I'm telling my audience to check out. And the next I might be recommending a new Instagram strategy. So it's a great way that I can engage my audience.
Yeah, I think different groups of people are going to care about different things. You might have some people who are into your influencer persona and they like similar food that you like and they like similar music and things like that. And so they're like see you as like a trend maker or a trend follower, right? And then there's people who care about the Instagram stuff. I I don't think the average person is going to appreciate this kind of commingling of content, but
And share both personal things and business related, niche related things at the same time. Another idea of something that you could very easily send out on a weekly basis to your email list is expanding on a social media post. So if there's like, some post that really does well that week, or maybe a podcast episode or a new YouTube video or whatever, just something that needs a little bit of a backstory or it needs a longer explanation, or even not necessarily something longer or more or expanded on, just something that's kind of revisited. Maybe you had a post on Monday that got a lot of people talking and it had a lot of comments, but there was also some confusion. So you're going to, on Friday, send out an email with that post attached, and you're going to explain it in better detail, or you're going to clarify something, or you're just going to kind of point to it again and be like, hey, a lot of people missed this, but this is really an important post to check out. Idea number 4 of something that you could send to your email list is you could share your thoughts on current events. Now, for some niches, this might be easier than others, and this might be something that's hard to send out on a weekly basis, depending on what your niche is. But depending on your field, depending on what you mainly talk about, you can maybe incorporate pop culture. I think about, like, for myself, as someone who does marketing and who does social media, I could talk about like influencers that are currently going viral, or I could talk about like, the new advertisement that was on during the Super Bowl, and I could break down what worked about that. Basically, just reviewing or sharing thoughts or summarizing current events that are pertinent and relatable to your niche. Idea number 5, and this is probably the most obvious one, the thing that most people think of when they think of an email list, and that is sharing things that you're selling, promoting new sales, new offers, special discounts. I can't tell you how many times we have run promotions to our email list or even to just portions of our email list. Like, hey, these people haven't opened an email in the last 6 months. Let's send them all a special discount code. Hey, these people have clicked on an email in the last 10 days. Let's send them a special trial offer. Giving these sort of special discounts or offers can really make people feel special for being on your email list and encourage them to open and engage with said list. Relate similar to that, and last but not least, another idea of something that you could send to your email list is early access to things. Maybe that's early access to a post before you post it. Maybe it's early access to a podcast or a YouTube video before you share it. Maybe it's early access to a promotion or sale before you post about it on social media. Giving your email list preferential and special treatment can both make them feel more engaged and make them feel that your email list and being a subscriber to it is that much more valuable. But of course, there are other things that you could send on a weekly basis besides just those 6 things. There are more strategies for growing your list than what I described in today's episode. And there are more email list or CRM providers than just the ones I shared. Ultimately, though, what I want you to take away from this is that you need to just start taking action. You need to create an email list. You need to sign up for one of these CRM platforms, and you need to start promoting it. If you decide in the future that you want to change your list, you can always just export that list and upload it to whatever new platform you're on.
Yep. Yeah, I always tell people this about email. You can take your ball and go home if you want to. So you can start with one piece of software, and when it doesn't serve you anymore, you can always move.
You can always change the thing you're sending on a weekly basis. You can always collect emails, even if you don't immediately know what you're going to be sending them. You can start collecting, and then you can decide in a few weeks what you're going to be sending them. But I really want you to just start taking action. The only wrong action is inaction. So I
Deep.
want you to make yourself homework or add to your to-do list to sign up for a CRM provider if you haven't already, and do at least one promotional activity this very week to grow your email list. Your future self will thank you for it. And I want to thank you for listening to today's episode. Thank you so much for being here. And as always, happy networking.
Okay. All right. So not bad, honestly. I was kind of expecting that part in the middle, the whole like, how do you grow your email list? I wasn't expecting how to set up the email list and then what content to put in your email list part of it. But he tried to do a lot, and I think he did okay. I'm not sure how beginner this was, because I think a lot of beginners have a hard time picking out software. So I will leave link to a video where I talk about how I pick out software for clients in case that's helpful. I will leave that in the show notes. But overall, not bad, Brock. I think this is your best video yet. You didn't make any big promises, except you did promise people to go viral a couple of times. But you didn't make income claims in the thumbnail. There was no major grandstanding about how great you are or anything like that. So good job, Brock. I'm going to give you props where you deserve it. Now, I don't think you need to spend $49 a month on Insta Club Hub. I think you could just subscribe to Instagram's email newsletter and maybe some email newsletters from social media marketing sites. I have a couple of marketing emails that I like to subscribe to that I will link in the description. But yeah, that's all I got for today. So thanks so much for watching. If you have a guru, a video, a topic you want me to react to, you can leave it as a comment on this video. Or if you're feeling more shy, you can use the contact form of our website, breakingeveninc.com/contact. And that will basically private message me. If you want to lightly keep in touch, we do have an email newsletter, and you can join it if you go to breakingeveninc.com/newsletter, and you can see examples of past issues there before you sign up to kind of see what you're getting into. And if you like this content, I hope you consider subscribing to the YouTube channel or just watching more of this content. There is a whole playlist of marketing gurus called Nicole Reacts on the YouTube channel, as well as if you go to the breakingeveninc.com/blog section, there's a Nicole Reacts category if you want to binge watch there. So thanks so much for watching. And remember, these marketing gurus will just keep on coming. But the good news is you have a friend, and that's me in the marketing business, who's not afraid to call them on all their bullshit. Take care.